Welcome to Behind the Clinic Doors, the Foot Health Podcast, the place where we lift the lid on the weird, wonderful, funny and downright inspiring world of foot health. Today I'm delighted to be joined with Louise Carter, a dietitian in functional wellness. Welcome and thank you for joining me. Could you share your journey in being a dietitian and functional wellness?
Of course. Gaynor, thank you so much for having me. And my journey into dietetics and functional wellness, I've always been fascinated about how the body works, how we get our fuel, muscle interaction, all of that type of stuff. So I decided to go down that route to see what it is. And then, on my journey, I've worked out that if you're not functional, you're nothing really. Our bodies don't work if we're not functional. So I went down the functional nutrition, functional wellness space, and I've just become so passionate about it. And now one of my missions in life is to make everybody functional and well. So that's me, just in a little nutshell. Yeah, it's taken me a good while to get here, but that's where we're at.
What motivated you to focus on areas like gut health and body composition and cardiovascular health as well?
Well, if you think about the gut and our body composition and our heart, those three will either make you or break you. The gut is the center of the body, and when our gut is off, everything is off. Whether it's sleep, hormone production, digestion, absorption, everything goes off when the gut is off. Body composition, your muscle mass is a better indicator of wellness and health rather than your actual weight. And if your fat mass is high, that's going to affect absolutely everything as well, including your heart. And cardiovascular wellness, blood pressure and cholesterol are called the silent killers. So it's things that we can't see. And the gut as well, you can't see what's happening in there. So the most important areas, I feel, when it comes to wellness are those three, because if we can keep the gut happy, the heart functioning well, and your body composition right, then you're functional. Everything
functions correctly. Yes. Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What do you think people often misunderstand about nutrition and the role in long-term health?
I feel like people link nutrition and weight loss.
Yeah.
Whereas, I'm going to say the word functional a lot of times today, I think. But
no, that's good.
When you talk about nutrition, people always link it back to weight.
Yeah.
Whereas nutrition is not about weight. It's about the whole body, and it's about functioning, and it influences our immune system. It influences brain function, hormone production, inflammation, even our aging. Your nutrition influences how your skin changes, how your body ages, everything like that. So, I feel like nutrition is a little bit misunderstood from that point of view. Also because it takes a lot longer to see the effects when you're working with nutrition, that we always want the quicker fixes with everything in long-term health. So I feel like if everyone could view nutrition and its role in the whole body rather than just pinning it to weight, we'd be probably a whole lot healthier.
I think so, yeah, rather than focusing on the weight, because we really do. You're saying that, and I was just thinking, you do think of nutrition as weight rather than long-term lifestyle, and about being healthy long-term. How does gut health connect to overall well-being? How do we connect that gut health to overall well-being?
The gut. How long do we have to talk? I can be all day about the gut, all day.
I know. That's almost another.
It's a whole other game.
It is a whole nother conversation. But just touching on that, because I think quite interested in this, because I think people are getting to know or understand about the gut and the role the gut has with our overall health, but not as much as they should do. We are starting to talk about it and connect it now, aren't we?
Slowly the dots are connecting, and people are paying more attention. Whether it's the right attention or not, I'm not sure. But the gut, basically, like I said earlier, is the center of our whole system. There's 80% of our immune cells are sitting in the gut. So that, if you're getting flu all the time, we need to start looking there. Your gut is also responsible for a lot of autoimmune diseases. So when there's a lot of inflammation in the gut, we can start to see autoimmune diseases like arthritis and Alzheimer's and all of those. The connection there is very, very strong as well. Hormone production happens in the gut. So all of our happy hormones, the research now shows that that's actually produced in the gut. We used to think it was in the brain, but the connection is up to the brain, but the production of your serotonin specifically is in the gut as well. Digestion and absorption of food. We can't function if our absorption is not good. And, a lot of us are depending on supplements these days while we work out our nutrition. But if your gut health is not right, there's no point in taking a supplement because it doesn't get absorbed.
Doesn't get absorbed, no.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
So the gut, and weight, your weight is purely based on what your gut health is doing. Because that changes your metabolism. It influences how your body stores fat. It influences how we use energy and regulating blood glucose and all of that type of stuff. So I think the gut, so discounted. And I work so much in that gut health space. And it's fascinating to see when we get it right and how people, when they pay attention to that, how they reach their goals and their wellness. It's like, it just explodes. It's phenomenal to see.
It is. Maybe another chance that, another time we'll talk about that a little bit more in depth, actually.
That would be amazing.
It would be good to do that. Looking at the cardiovascular system, what role does nutrition play in supporting your cardiovascular health? I know it's individual, but actually, I suppose it's a whole, really. And then you've got individual people that it would be different with. But nutrition and your cardiovascular health, what role would nutrition play in that?
So I think just like nutrition and gut health are directly related, cardiovascular disease and nutrition are also directly related. Arguably, nutrition is much more important than a lifestyle change when it comes to the cardiovascular wellness. Your food affects your blood pressure and your cholesterol, your inflammation, and your blood glucose. So when those are out of whack, the cardiovascular system sits under a lot of stress. And those things, the blood pressure, cholesterol, inflammation, and your blood glucose, like I said earlier, is things we can't see. So when you start to feel the effects of it, it's actually too late.
Too late then, yes.
You don't want to go, oh, what's going on with me? You need to be proactive. So, unfortunately, we are surrounded by processed meats, fried foods, sugar, alcohol.
Yeah.
You name it, we can
get it, can't we? Yes.
Yeah. It's a big issue. And so all of those things increase your cardiovascular risk and cardiovascular disease. So it's really important to focus on fresh and homemade and more fiber and higher protein and all of those type of things. Fat is another very controversial issue. But like you said earlier, it always needs to be individual. So if you are fat sensitive, going on a high protein, high fat diet is probably not the most sensible thing that you could do. So bringing it always back down to individual, personalized nutrition, but blood tests. So before we change anything on a nutrition level, it's actually important to have a look at the bloods. And that's where the functional movement comes back into it. Because if you can see what your blood markers are doing, because you can feel great. But what's going on the inside?
Going on the inside, yes. Absolutely. Prevention's better than a cure, isn't it? So eating all the correct foods, have a little bit of what you fancy, but not make that a habit because, prevention's better than the cure. Going back to, you were saying the body composition always gets reduced to weight, or obviously your size and things. How do you help clients look at this more holistically?
So body composition, I think we're all so fixed on the weight. And I get that. When I weigh myself, I'm like, oh, I don't want to know. But body composition is so much more of an indicator of health. So if your muscle mass is high, so you can be heavy, right? And have a very high muscle mass. Your BMI might be through the roof, but BMI, we can talk about that in a minute. But if your weight is higher and you're heavier and your muscle mass is higher, you are more well, if you want to say that. Your wellness is so much better than someone who's lighter with a higher fat percent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like if you put in inverted commas, skinny fat, right? You
Yeah.
can be tiny and unhealthy. Just because you're
Because yeah.
overweight doesn't make you unhealthy. So body composition is really, really important. And getting people to understand how important muscle mass is, I think, is the key here. Because if your muscle mass is higher, your hormone production is better, your metabolism's better, sleep, power output in the gym, all of these things. And you don't have to be huge. You don't have to be a
No.
big muscle man. You can just be strong and
Yeah.
lean.
Yeah. It's true.
So yes, on a body composition point of view, I think to switch people's minds from weight to muscle mass is really, really important.
Really important.
And
Yeah.
it also changes the way that you eat and focus on food, because muscle, if we're chasing muscle as opposed to chasing lower fat,
Yeah.
the way that you eat is completely different. Chasing muscle involves nourishing your body, eating more protein, focusing on what you're actually eating, whereas chasing fat, you still need to focus on it. But a lot of people in that, if it's not a personalized way of doing it, they start to cut things out
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
start to become very unhealthy when it comes to chasing fat.
Yeah.
So, like if people can flip it over and we go for more body composition rather than weight, and
Yeah.
we chase muscle, we chase wellness.
Yeah, yes, and chasing muscle is so important because I think, once you get to a certain age or over 40, you do start to decline in muscle if you don't
Mm,
do something
mm.
with strength training, with diet, and muscle is so important as we get older as well. Just for
Absolutely. Yeah. And like that also, if you look at a lifestyle point of view, as we get older, especially as females, I mean, men are exactly the same. We're not putting anyone in a box.
no,
But ladies in particular are worried about strength training. They're worried about pushing their muscle mass up because, there's that stigma attached to being bigger and bulking.
mm,
But it doesn't happen. We
doesn't
don't
does
have the
it? No,
testosterone to hold the muscle like the men
no,
do. But all of us, male or female, we all lose the muscle mass as we get older. So it's important to chase it with food, to chase it with functional fitness as well,
yeah, definitely.
rather than just thinking, oh, well, I've got my protein shake and I'm going to be okay.
No, it's not going to cut
Yeah,
it, is it?
exactly. So yeah, it's very, very
I'm
important.
intrigued how functional nutrition is different from other approaches. Can you explain this a little bit more in depth?
So it's one of my favorite questions, actually. Um, so if we have a look at conventional nutrition, the way that everyone thinks about it, like I said in the beginning, it's always related to weight. And it doesn't really get to the bottom of anything. So previously, if you had high cholesterol, they would say, okay, well, stop eating fat. That's great. But is your cholesterol because of your diet? Is it an inflammatory response?
Hmm. Yeah.
Is it genetic? Is it all of that? Can we fix it with exercise, movement, stress management, sleep? All of these things affect your inflammation, which then will affect your cholesterol. So it's not about eating less fat. Or like if someone is feeling very bloated and someone else will say, okay, well, stop eating beans. It's not about beans. The person might not eat beans, but it's more about poor digestion and your gut health and the dysbiosis sitting inside the microbiome. Is it a food sensitivity? Because if it is a food sensitivity, you can move away from that. You don't have to not eat something because you have a food sensitivity. So working out what the reason
Interesting. Yeah.
behind it um, is more the functional approach, and then starting, like we can fix a symptom, but understanding the root cause of what it is, and
Yeah.
then working from the bottom up so that your body becomes functional and works properly again.
I think that's very important, actually. So
Mm.
yeah, explaining
Mm.
that is, yeah, that's really important. So it's looking at nutrition in a completely different way, but so your body functions as a whole, really.
Yes, and then taking nutrition again, not just as food, but in integrating sleep, because nutrition affects your sleep and your stress affects your nutrition. and the way that you eat and your stress levels and your sleep affects your movement and your exercise.
Yes.
And that affects your mindset, which then changes the way that you eat. So the functional approach is not just food. We've got to look at everything related to food, but we've got to look at everything and how they all interact with each other. Also I could talk about that for hours, but the long and short of it is that we just need to almost create a little circle, and that circle's got to keep on going. You can't decide that one thing is good because this is going to affect that. So that's
what are some of the common mistakes people make when they're trying to improve their nutrition?
Oh, there's so many. But I think the biggest one is probably all or nothing. Like I'm on a diet or I'm not.
And that's it. Yes. Yeah, you're right, isn't it? So we completely cut out everything and then crave it all as well.
Exactly.
Stick to it.
And then you're cutting everything out to make yourself more stressed because all you want to do is eat that. Yes. But so the all or nothing approach, I think, is quite dangerous. I think it's important for people to change lifestyle and make something that's sustainable and maintainable. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. And the other thing that really, I think, is the problem, we've spoken about it already, is obsessing over the scale. And that's hard. Like I also some days I'm attached to my scale, even though I tell other people not to be, but we all have our things. But obsessing over the scale, because your weight changes every minute of the day. When you've eaten, when you haven't eaten, maybe you had a very salty meal last night and you stand on your scale, your weight is going to be up.
It's going to go up, yes.
And then the muscle conversation, because now we want more muscle, so our weight is going to go up. I think there's so many mistakes that people make, but I think those, if I was going to pull two out of all of them, I would say it's that all or nothing and obsessing about the scale. We need to take a step back and just relook at it.
Right. That's really true. That's some useful points there. So we all know how important circulation is in relation to the lower limb, as it delivers oxygen and nutrients, which again supports wound healing, keeps our feet warm, reduces risk of infection, ulcers, cramps and fatigue. How can or does diet influence our circulation? So it's probably touching on what we spoke about before. So how can our diet influence our circulation? So it'd be like the cardiovascular system as well.
So that would be related back to the cardiovascular system and keeping your circulation good, especially when it comes to feet, because our feet are right at the end of the chain. So we need to make sure that circulation is good, that the blood pressure is right, that everything is moving all the way to the end. And a big thing that's going to get in the way, if I can say it that way, is the cholesterol and the inflammation, the atherosclerosis that sits there, and it slows the circulation down and causes more problems. So from a nutrition point of view, again, really important to work on cholesterol and blood pressure and that cardiovascular wellness, so that your heart remains nice and strong and that blood flow gets right to the end of the chain. And that is more anti-inflammatory way of eating. Less salt, less of the bad fats, more of the good fats, protein orientated, very much Mediterranean if you want to put a blanket over it. I'm very big on personalized nutrition, but if you put a blanket on it, it would be very much that Mediterranean way of eating to improve the cardiovascular system.
So, that would have been my next question, and asking you, which diet would help reduce inflammation. So would you agree that then that would be the Mediterranean way of eating? Because that, it's the inflammation that causes the joint pains and issues. And if we're talking about lower limb, in the lower limb, which you feel, so you think more a Mediterranean is a good anti-inflammatory diet as a blanket diet.
As a blanket. So obviously, like if someone is now going to listen to this and then go and Google the Mediterranean diet, you can get some really good advice on that. But it's always important when it comes to nutrition, as with everything, to personalize it, because your journey is very different to mine. which is very different to, let's say, I don't know, your best friend,
Yeah.
because we all have a different body, we all have a different system.
Yeah.
So we can take that overall advice, and the theory is correct, because that Mediterranean diet has got the high fiber, it's got the good fats, everything that we need to improve the circulation and decrease inflammation.
Yeah.
But always personalize it. If I can't stress that enough, we have to
Yeah, yeah, you are right. I think that's the thing, isn't it? We all look at a diet and think that's going to work for us, and then completely, when we failed at it, we feel that but it could have been just a little tweak to that, and it could have worked for us. So yeah,
Yes,
we're all
exactly.
individual, and yeah, not one thing fits all. So yeah, 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 you're right.
Sadly.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Um, how would you say cardiovascular health and nutrition link with foot health? So I think we can both talk a little bit about this, can't we, really? To
Yeah, so I think again, it's just about keeping it fresh from a nutrition point. It's just
Yeah.
about keeping the inflammation down, making sure all of your systems are working well, and I suppose paying attention as well.
So
You need
yeah,
to pay attention to the outside. I'm talking about paying attention to the inside, but you also need to pay attention to the outside, because the outside is what gives you the information about what's happening on the
what's
inside.
happening?
So
Yeah, the swelling in our feet or the pain is it's our body's trying to tell us. So we need to pay attention to that and act on it as well. So I think
yeah,
bringing it back to, again, it's about the overall, isn't it? It's the overall wellness. Or then that helps support your overall system, support your overall system, and then down into your feet as well, and lower limb. So yeah, but yeah, our bodies are telling us there's something wrong with our cardiovascular system if we are
absolutely.
getting ankle swelling or pain in our feet. So as well
Yeah.
as I think we think about upper body
Yeah.
sometimes, don't we? But actually the signs can be in our lower limbs.
Yes, and the signs, this by the time you see the sign,
Again, yes. cold feet, or this, there's something wrong by the time you see those signs. Yeah.
absolutely. And there's that saying of what does it say? You've got to listen to your body when it's whispering, otherwise it's going to start, you don't want it to start shouting. I don't know what
Yeah,
that
no, I haven't heard of that. I'll have to look that up, actually. But yeah,
I
that's a
will
good
send it to
point.
you.
Because
Yeah, I will
actually,
send it
yes,
to you.
yes,
Because once your body has stopped whispering, it's going to be
I'm going to
shouting.
shout.
Yeah. And by the time we see it shouting, as in the swelling or the wounds on the feet or cold feet, poor circulation, all of that, by the time we're there and it's shouting to tell you something, again, a little bit too late. It's not saying that you can't backtrack, but like the impact, I think, is just so much higher. So when people are paying attention to their overall wellness, then we shouldn't really get into that type of space.
No. Again, prevention being better than the cure.
Always,
Yeah,
always.
always.
Yeah.
What nutrition habits could support mobility long term for foot health?
So there's quite a lot that can go on there, because we need to be obviously the cardiovascular thing as well, so your
Yeah,
circulation, but then we also need to make sure we're nourishing our bones and our muscles and the nerves as well. Circulation is just one part of the whole
yeah,
thing. So, if you're looking at your bones, you've got to make sure that we have enough calcium and enough vitamin D and magnesium. Obviously, if I list all of the foods, we'll be here all day,
no,
but just
I know.
in a little nutshell.
But yeah, no, the calcium, magnesium, vitamin D are quite important, aren't they? And we can get those through foods, like you were saying. We could supplement, but if our stomachs or gut, we've got gut issues, it's going to get lost in amongst that bad bacteria that's in our stomach, not good
Absolutely. And I
bacteria.
think,
So
yeah, so you do need supplementation, I think, as we get older,
yeah,
especially with the calcium and the vitamin D and the magnesium,
it's important.
because they do other things as well, and it's really important, like for hormone balancing and sleep and all of those as well. So it's important to put the foods in every single day, but a really good supplement does help. But like you were saying, we need to just focus on that, on the gut health as well.
Yeah,
And then, like, in terms of strength and body function and all of that, so maintaining the muscle, because obviously the muscle down in the foot is also really, really important. We need to maintain that. Obviously, we're looking at protein. So we've got to focus on our protein all the time. And magnesium, again, comes up in that space. Circulation, like we've been saying the whole time, we need to look at those omega-3s and our antioxidants and make sure that everything, reducing the inflammation, improving blood flow, improving cell structure and all of that.
Yeah.
Our nerves rely a lot on vitamin B12 and B complex, and those also work on the energy pathways as well. So it's all interconnected. We want to look at vitamin E as well, to protect those nerve cells. So yeah, the list is endless, but we just need to make sure that, again, if you are having a really good, if you're focusing on nourishing your body and you're focusing on your wellness, then we should kind of tick all of those boxes. But another one as well, which we haven't actually mentioned, is hydration.
Yes, massively important, isn't it? And as we get older, we reduce that because of going to the toilet more often.
Yeah.
But actually, it's key, isn't it? It's really key. It's key.
It's really, really important, from flushing toxins to inflammation to improving circulation. If you have enough water as well, then your blood volume's nice and high, and then your blood pressure remains stable. And so the chain keeps on going down. Like one thing will always have a knock-on effect to something else in this little wellness circle all the time.
Yeah. No, hydration is important. What are 2 or 3 nutrition changes that deliver a big impact? So maybe hydration is one.
Hydration is definitely one. Yes, we all need to drink more water, because we are 50% water. So we need to make sure that we are well hydrated so that your body can function. So that's, from a gut health point of view, makes you go to the toilet. You sleep well, but also you get good energy as well. So, like if you're having a day where you're just yawning all the time and you can't focus, often that comes back to not being well hydrated. Maybe you didn't sleep well, or there's other things going on. But in those instances, we often turn to coffee or tea or chocolate or something like that to lift us up, whereas probably a glass of water would have been the perfect solution.
But it's important to note that drinking that glass of water and giving it chance to go through before we reach for the chocolate and something else, actually, because I've been subject to that. It's just thinking, I feel thirsty, drink that, and it wasn't actually thirsty, I want something else. But once that's actually hit and gone through my system a little bit, it's like, actually, no, I was just thirsty. So it is.
You need to give it a good 15 minutes.
Give it chance.
Yeah, that's very important. So I think the first one is definitely water. The next one I would say is sugar. I'm not a big advocate for removing things. I don't think that that's beneficial to anybody. But sugar does cause inflammation. And inflammation causes disease. We know that. Sugar is addictive. We also know that. And sugar is everywhere. So we can't get away from it. So if you are trying to remove sugar from your life completely, it's going to be a very, very difficult thing. Yeah. But being mindful of where it is. So I talk a lot in my clinics about being mindful and understanding what your body needs, but also what you're doing through the day. Okay. Like if you feel like you need a little chocolate here and then that's great, but you've got to remember what you did yesterday and the day before. So being mindful about our intake all the time helps us to know where that sugar is. Understanding food makeup, understanding what's inside our meals also helps to avoid it. But then cooking at home, like you can make exactly the same meal in your house rather than buying it off the shelf. And the sugar content in that, never mind the salt and everything else that affects your blood pressure, but the sugar that's inside those meals, mind-blowing. So
we don't look, do we?
No, we're just like, oh, I'm just going to do that.
Nice.
For the convenience. So I would say water and then sugar. And then it's not necessarily nutrition 100%, but I would be saying chasing wellness and not calories. Because, and again, this is a conversation for a whole other hour, but chasing wellness is so much more important. Calories, there's too many loopholes. Nobody really understands what we're doing when you're chasing calories. It makes you cut things out. like it's just that is its own little can of worms. So if we reframe our thinking about nutrition,
Yeah.
and personalize it, then I think, those changes, they're small changes
Yeah.
because we reframe things, we have to do things slowly, but small changes make the biggest difference when it comes to wellness and that overall impact that we're trying to achieve.
Okay. If somebody's listening to this, feeling a little overwhelmed, and what's the simplest place to start? Where's the simplest place to start with all this?
Small. I would say go retreat, switch off your phone, stop going through Instagram and Google, and I don't even know what the other platforms are called. Showing my age there a little bit. But start small. So if you focus on yourself and one day at a time, because I think, like we spoke about right in the beginning, it's this all or nothing, right? And now we've been so good, but now it's a girls' night on Friday, and out it goes, and then we boxed it till Wednesday. But if you just take each day as it comes and make the small changes, because the small changes give the biggest impact, and focus on yourself and be mindful about what you're doing. We all live over here in this fast-paced world, and everyone wants something from me, but I can't give myself anything. So if we pull ourselves into ourselves and start there and being mindful about what you're doing, if you can get to that place, then things like drinking more water, looking at your portion sizes, paying attention to sugar, cooking meals at home, those become very easy when you're working here with yourself. Does that make sense?
It
Very
makes total sense. Total sense. Yeah, no. Makes total sense. And I think listeners would actually understand that as well.
Yeah, so I think that would be my biggest, and I mean, I tell people that every day, and they look at me like, huh? But if you can just pull yourself into your own space and pay attention to you, then
it's about you, isn't it, really? So
yeah.
Is there a nutritional myth you'd like to bust? So if there's one nutritional myth you'd like to bust.
Too many
Too
to
many.
I would say that not all calories are equal. And like I talk a lot in my clinic about getting people off counting calories, because again, like I've mentioned before, nobody really knows how to count calories. But also calories do different things when they're inside your body. So if I can give you a quick example, if you take a 600 calorie meal from, I don't know, McDonald's or Burger King or one of those takeout places, or you have a 600 calorie meal that you've made at home. Okay, so the one you get from your takeaway is, let's call it a burger and fries and a milkshake.
Yeah.
And then the one you've made at home is a chicken breast, sweet potato, and broccoli. Right, so there's just 3 things on the plate. So 600 calories there if you think about that delicious meal. When you eat the takeaway meal, it goes in, there's about 3 seconds of satisfaction. Then your body goes, right? And you get heartburn and you get a headache and you get grumpy and all these things happen. But in 10 minutes, you're hungry because it's gone through you, because it's so processed. And that's done nothing for your system except lift your blood glucose up. The 600 calorie meal that we've had at home, if it was just those 3 things that were on the plate, you probably wouldn't finish the meal because the portion is going to be too big. There's enough protein on that plate to help boost your muscle regeneration, hormone balance, improve your sleep, all of that. The carbohydrate that's on there will give you a really nice balance. It's going to give you some fiber, everything that we need, energy levels. That carbohydrate, especially if it's in the evening, is going to help with serotonin. Then it's going to help melatonin. It's going to help us sleep. There's not a lot of sugar in there, so it's not going to pick you up and drop you down. So calories, for someone who's looking at chasing calories, you can see how it's so unbalanced.
Massively unbalanced, actually, isn't
it?
Yeah.
And people don't think about that. They say, oh, well, I've hit my 2,000 calories for the day. That means
might have not nourished them.
Exactly. You haven't nourished yourself. And I think that big myth about calories, if we can just get rid of it. There's so many myths. I mean, there's so many things.
That's a good one, actually. That's
But I
really
think
good.
that's, if we can just move away, no calories, just nourish.
Nourish,
Because if we all know what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, you feel more, you feel fuller from foods that are more nourishing anyway. It's you know, body, your body feels more satisfied. So it's, so you end up
And when your
actually
body is
eating less
satisfied,
calories. So
exactly. So that is how we control calories in inverted commas, if that's what you want to be doing, by nourishing, and then we work on portion control. Rather than calories, because you can eat a huge portion of calories. But if you are nourishing, then everything's so much more controlled. So yes, long answer to that question.
It's fine. If you had to name an underrated food that supports your overall health and indirectly foot health, what would it be?
A bit random, but I would say beetroot.
Beetroot.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about beetroot. Cardiovascular system.
Yeah. Beetroot is, well, I mean, a lot of people, because in my clinics, I'll say, is there one thing that you do not eat? And so many people say beetroot. And then I make it my mission to get them to eat beetroot, right? Because it boosts your nitric oxide production. And then what that does is it helps to relax and widen your blood vessels. So from a circulation point of view, beetroot is it. I mean, it's high in antioxidants, it's high in anti-inflammatory compounds that help to protect our system, protect the blood vessels. Because it's anti-inflammatory, we'll be reducing joint pain. It's also got a lot of folate in it, which is really good for blood cells. So we've got the nitric oxide, which is boosting the blood vessel health, and then we've got the folate, which is improving the blood cell health. So from a cardiovascular point of view, improving and wellness, that is it. And then we improve circulation. So indirectly from a foot health point of view, I think beetroot are going to sell out in the shops now.
It will sell out now.
Exactly. And
go on, sorry.
I was going to say, you can make it taste nice as well. It doesn't have to be earthy and sandy. You can really do some great things with beetroot. Just got to get creative.
Yes, definitely. I was going to ask you your biggest nutrition fad that you'd like to see disappear, but I don't know whether that might have come with the calories. Definitely.
Calories. Get rid of them.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But that's not a fad, right? It's more a mindset that we need. And I say it's not a fad because it hasn't gone away, sadly. But I would say, if anything, I wouldn't even look for anything else, just the calories.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Louise, thank you for coming and sharing your knowledge today. If listeners want to connect with you, where can they learn more about your work?
Either through, if you want to get a hold of me directly, an email, or they can DM me on Instagram as well. I do have a website. Obviously, there's an Instagram page, but I think, again, people's needs are so personal. So it's always better to just get in touch and see if it's the right fit, if I can actually help.
Work with them.
So definitely Instagram or an email.
And I'll put all those on the end of the podcast anyway.
Yes,
okay. Thank you again, Louise. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. And I hope everybody, and you, because I've learned some things about foot health as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I hope everyone.
I think our listeners will as well. That's the thing. And that's what, it is about foot health, but it's about the overall health, which will then support our foot health. So, yeah.
Absolutely, because they all work together. Yeah,
absolutely. Massively together. So take care, everyone. And most importantly, take care of your feet.